Okay, how's everybody doing? I was going to say today I'm going to cover in 10 minutes or so, my presentation associated with Open Learning Initiative, and it's open learning platform that can work for you. Just a quick precursor on my background. I've taught for 11 and a half years teaching psychology, 11 and a half online, 5 face-to-face, which has actually helped me because I've incorporated technology into the face-to-face courses. I've taught 16 different courses. I've worked with 6 different LMSs, as you can read and go through the PowerPoint later. And actually, I used 5 different LMSs through 6 colleges in fall of 17. And fall 2020, I used 4 LMSs with 6 colleges teaching, which actually, fall 2020, it was all asynchronous online, whereas there were 6 face-to-face courses. And both fall of 17 and 20, I actually taught 14 sections in each. So most semesters, since it's this semester, I'm using 4 different LMSs as well for the fall 2021. I've used publisher platforms, Connect, Revel, Read and Practice, MindTap, which I will tell you I prefer if I have to use a publisher platform. Read and Practice or Read and Achieve, Macmillan. It's much MindTap is kind of a lesser option associated with that, but I have used the OLI platform that I'm going to talk to you about, as well as Lumen Waymaker, which actually if you look up the Lumen Learning Abnormal Psych Text, I actually wrote 3 chapters or authored 3 chapters. I edited the whole text as well as doing the PowerPoints throughout, and other projects associated with that as well. So I did, I was going to say I haven't used Waymaker in a classroom, but I do have experience with that. The one thing about requesting OLI access is oli.cmu.edu. Very easy, simple. If you go, you click on, you request access for instructors, and it'll take sometimes a day or 2 to verify. Now that Lumen is associated with with OLI a little bit more. The turnaround time is much quicker. So it's usually about 24 to 48 hours. It used to be, 3 to 4 days, but now, now it's sped up process. But yeah, all you do is oli.cmu.edu. Now you can actually incorporate it or integrate it, I should say LTI integrate it with any of the, 4 major LMSs, D2L, Blackboard, Moodle, as well as Canvas. Which I prefer Canvas and D2L, but that's, obviously everyone's got their preferences. The one thing for assessments, I use the checkpoints, which are the quizzes in each module. And it's so simple to do, to actually assess the due date, that literally for my 2 sections that I'm using it for this semester for my psych at Oneonta, it took me all of, about 15 to 16 minutes to assign the quiz dates. Real simple. And the thing is, you can incorporate it into, your Blackboard, Canvas, D2L, whatever. I just do it for completion. But the one thing I found pre-COVID was that exam grades increased significantly. I mean, it was, since I've used the product, or at least the learning platform, grades have improved, which you can go through these as well. I mean, I use basically, fall 2016, no learning platform as a baseline. And as you see, the baseline, for fall 17 with OCC, whereas spring 2018, I was introduced to the product. And then that's when I started using this. So you can see the difference and the increase in points. But the big difference, which there was no baseline at Bethune-Cookman, which currently I teach at 5 different universities, now currently. So at least this semester. So the one thing is there is, baseline, because I didn't use the product for exams. I was online course, but I was going to say pre-COVID with Oneonta, you see the differences versus, Delhi fall of 2016, massive increase. And I'd like to say that I'm a much better instructor. Well, I will say I am a much better instructor, but than I was when I started face-to-face 5 years ago. But still, it really helps to have students open a textbook. And yes, for, normal costs, I mean, as I will say for the psych text, and they did update it, it's $25, but, state of New York or SUNY has a deal that makes it free for students. So other states, that are listening to this, maybe you could talk to, talk to Hal Turner with OLI. I think it's H Turner at cmu.edu, but it's Hal Turner or Harold Turner. And he's, I was going to say he'd be the one to incorporate, but at least maybe, different states could have a similar agreement, that the state education system could pay for that to make it a free product. The one thing is, the issues I've had signing on with a course key, but this is only without LTI integration. So if you go through the OLI, olicmu.edu, guess what? Then, of course, you're going to have to use a course key. But if you have LTI integration, they click it, boom, they're right at the textbook. Students forgetting their password. Well, guess what? If they have LTI integration, they don't have to click it, and it goes right to the text. But the only major complaint as well I get on student evaluations is that I assign way too many quizzes. Oh, well, sorry. What can I do? So, yeah, but again, I found the fact is they're actually looking at the textbook. They're actually looking at the material. They're looking at the questions. So it will help, their retention of the information. As you see, different disciplines that are associated with all of these, and the price point, which A and P, look at 1 and 2, it shows that it's $25 for both. But if that's the case, that's a lot better than $300-400. That's crazy. So for both texts, but as you see, psych's the only social science that's out there. But the one thing is, I know for a fact that they updated it for this fall semester, because I was actually supposed to do the editing, but I couldn't. I was just too busy last semester. And that's why my own future research, comparisons. I'd like to compare OLI versus a publisher content, OLI versus nothing, OLI versus, Waymaker. But the thing is right now, obviously, I'm only teaching 8 classes this semester. But, with I was going to say with half day daycare, each day, it's a little tough. So time's a little thin, but as well, compensation. If I got compensated, well, then yes, I would love to do this stuff. But keep in mind, I'm not compensated by OLI or Carnegie Mellon at all. So I'm just doing this because I really love the product. But the one thing, I'd like to do, for future presentations, I'd actually like to assess different LMSs, because I've had experience with six of them, and they all differ. They all have different positives, different negatives. And it would be nice to at least, have something else. And if any of you are obviously interested, let me know, because I can, I'd like to set up a presentation where I can actually go through. I don't have access to e-learning Zanzibar anymore, but I can at least explain it in probably 5 minutes or less than that, because, really it was very problematic. But yeah, I was going to say, obviously ideas, but the thing is, I love this product. It makes it very easy for students, because again, when it comes to intro classes, especially the fact that I only have out of 80 students or 78 students, that's right, 78 students after the add drop time, I only have 5 or 6 psych majors. So I'm trying to adapt something that's not overly saturating material, which this does. This doesn't saturate the material. It gives basically the gist, overall gist, and the information that's needed. And this is why I use it, because again, it's very simple as well for the instructor, but for the student to access the information and learn because they're not paying for text. So that, guess what, gives them incentive to do it, and assigning the quizzes, the retention, as well as lecture, obviously does help. So if you have any questions, comments, I was going to say, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me at robert.hoople@oneana.edu. And I was going to say, feel free to contact me. I was going to say, I'd love to hear from you with any questions that you might have about it, or anything else. And then this is the website as well, oli.cmu.edu. It's very easy, and you can see what's there, see if it's something that you might want to use. And again, that's why I talk about it. So with that, I was going to say, I think I just cleared it under 10 minutes. So enjoy the conference, and I was going to say, I'll look forward to any questions that are there. So take care and enjoy the rest of the conference.